So all the great deeds that you are doing right now, you will enjoy the fruit of it once the demise of this body happens. So does it mean to say that as long as you have this body, you won't have the fruits of your great karma, good karma? Would I be willing to perform only good actions just because I would like to have all the fascinations and pleasures which cannot be captured in this life? In this life, there is a heaven right here, right now. In this life, there is a hell right here, right now. People have been confined in so many ways, restricted, doomed to lead a certain life which is not less than any hell right here on this earth. They don't need another level of trauma. This is good enough for them. So if you are awakened enough to see through happenings of life as just the way they are, you would have different perspective. Even the most hellish experience will turn into the most heavenly experience. To instill fear into the minds, as it may at times seem mandatory to do so, which has been done in the past, just to create a structure, a frame, where people would be compelled to conduct themselves in a certain way. As at this moment, if things are not so pleasant, so to speak, but if I could just carry out things that are more aligned into creating something which will benefit me later, much later, only after the demise of this body. So the idea of heaven comes from there. So all the great deeds that you are doing right now, you will enjoy the fruit of it once the demise of this body happens. So does it mean to say that as long as you have this body, you won't have the fruits of your great karma, good karma? You won't have that level of enjoyment. And the same thing is said for the counterpart, that if you are not able to conduct yourself in a certain way, then you should be ready for the results, but that too only after the demise of this body. So in both the cases, this body has to drop. This body has to go missing. So the very futuristic pedestrians who would walk on the path would actually know the importance of walk once the walk is over, once they are no longer there to witness what has been done. So if you come from that school of thought, then most probably you would be conducting yourself in a certain way only because of the fear. Is it a very pleasant way to live our lives? So your good karma is bound, or I would say that your good karma is chained in fear. So you may be performing all the great things in your life. Let's say you are the most religious person. You are into all right deeds. But the very idea of right deeds, where it is coming from, is chained in fear. Because if you do not conduct yourself in a certain way, you will have something which is totally ghastly, which is totally unimaginable. So because of the excruciating pain you would avoid after the demise of this body, you'd perform certain good act. Does it make sense? Would I be willing to perform only good actions just because I would like to have all the fascinations and pleasures which cannot be captured in this life? Is it like saying that I want to walk on the moon? I would love to walk on the moon. One day, someday, it will come, I will walk on the moon. But unfortunately, I cannot walk because I have no leg. So once you cannot walk on this planet because you have no leg, one day you will walk on the moon. Of course, one day you will walk on the moon. One day, that day will come one day. So if one operates from that level of understanding, then it's very unfortunate. Yeah, it has been done for a certain reason that people do adhere to good laws, the laws which could glorify humanity or at least keep the sanctity of being a human. And if you look at the pages of many scriptures from all religion, you would find that even the blessed ones, even the most blessed one, were into the heinous acts. You can find that in Bible also. So the whole idea of certain rules and regulations which has come from somewhere that we do not know does miss a point where we are negated as human being, and instead of turning intuitive and internalizing matters, we are asked to follow certain rules and regulations which are heavenly guided, and that heaven does not exist. What if it is said that all that enjoyment that you seek is not enjoyment? All the pleasures that you seek in the world right away is just a stuck point where you feel that sense of pleasure because of the pattern, the conditioned pattern that you have been carrying as a reality. So all that you seek as pleasure is not pleasure. All that you thought was pleasure didn't turn out to be that pleasure. All that which seems really pleasing to you may not, and doesn't have to be like that. So what is important here to understand is the idea of somewhere after the demise of this body could be an absolute illusion, because you cannot even capture it. And how would you know what you have done to get to the place where these commandments or these ideas which have come from somewhere heavenly guided are pushing you through? You have no idea where you're going to land up. So only the salvation would happen, the heaven will be achieved, or hell will be doomed to us only after the demise of this body is only heavenly idea which exists only in heaven. Let that be in the heaven only, if it does exist. And if it doesn't, anyway, it doesn't matter, because we won't know what happens after the demise of this body. After we drop this body, after this body has been buried under the soil, how would you know where have you gone? So in both ways, it doesn't matter. It is absolutely inconsequential to your understanding. But one thing is for sure, that if you understand this life as it is, it will certainly put you on a different level altogether. Do you think your life as it is shall be appreciated? This human birth and this human body, if this is understood in absolute totality, you could unravel all dimensions of your life. You could understand things beyond what has been written in that place, what has been talked about in that place, what has been given to us by different schools of thoughts. The only way to proceed forward is to seek all the answers within, because the kingdom of heaven lies within us, and the kingdom of hell also lies within us. And this is what is to be understood. In this life, there is a heaven right here, right now. In this life, there is a hell right here, right now. People have been confined in so many ways, restricted, doomed to lead a certain life which is not less than any hell right here on this earth. They don't need another level of trauma. This is good enough for them. And also the counterpart, the heaven also. There are people whom you think they have everything, but yeah, it's just that their way of looking at things in life is much more different than the rest of the world. Though they may have everything to enjoy, but who knows, they are totally detached because they have seen through everything. So if you are awakened enough to see through happenings of life as just the way they are, you would have different perspective. Even the most hellish experience will turn into the most heavenly experience. It is all about how things are being processed, and that depends on how evolved you are becoming and how evolved as a human being you have become to know what it is. If you could just be awake enough, you would not miss this life. And this life has been given as an opportunity for you to exhaust many impressions of various lives, or whatever it is that has been given to you at this point in time. If it has nothing to do with cleansing of the blemishes of the past, that's the dissolving matters. Let's use this word, dissolving matters. You have this human body to exhaust your karma or create new ones. And it all depends on how attentive you become at each given point in time. The more attentive you become in your actions, the more expanded you become in your awareness. The more you become expanded in your awareness, the better you would behave. The more aligned you would be to the cosmic power. You would be more receptive to receive blessing, to understand subtle matters, the intricate matters which will help you accentuate your energy towards higher vibration. And that's when everything changes. Even the most tragic circumstance can be turned into triumph of life with that level of awareness, with that elevated stage of consciousness. If I could say consciousness, let's say elevated state of being. If one has traversed many paths, let's say many paths of karma, and crossed over to the other side and gone there, will look at life from a different perspective altogether. There would not be any pain, there would not be any pleasure. These are just transient fleeting emotions, and these transient fleeting emotions can never be fulfilling enough to make a man complete, to have that wholesome experience. These are just some sensations which happen in this body because they need a gross connection. They need the hearing of words, the appreciation. So it may be sounding so pleasing hearing about what we have done, the great things we have done, appreciated, applauded in front of millions of people, our name being splashed across all newspapers, we are on television, we are there. It's all captured by these senses. It's pleasing to them, but it's not wholesome experience. Life is way beyond than that. And these cannot be captured to the extreme of its pinnacle and term it as the heaven or anything like that, because anything that is captured by the senses has to die. It is by dissolving all these matters one become greater, one ascend himself herself to higher degree of life. So what you cannot feel and see, it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. It does exist in a big way. In fact, the only thing that exists is that you cannot see. As simple as that. And all that you see has come from that cannot be seen. So if you are going through all these phases, and these phases of emotions and fleeting emotions, basically, if they are there to define your life, each moment will present itself as hell and heaven. And anyway, it will be overlapping itself. The heaven will overlap the hell, and next moment the hell will overlap the heaven. It is all about how you are transiting. So if you make your life in this transit, every transit of yours will seem and feel like heaven and hell at each moment of your life. How you are transiting, that's what matters. Because you are just floating on the surface. You need to go beyond and across the river. That's where you will see how things are. It's just that you are right there. You cannot see the complete picture. So if you go to the other side and if you're able to cross the river somehow, then you would be able to look at the other side where you have been in the past from a different angle altogether, from a different perspective altogether. And that perspective is totally different, just the opposite, in fact, of what it was when you were there yourself at the first place. So once you talk about the crossing over to the other side, you require a bridge, and the bridge is there. And this is the bridge. This human body is a perfect bridge to cross over the other side. So are you willing to cross over to the other side? That's why this human body has been given, so that you dissolve all the matters right here. All the notion of heaven and hell, you dissolve all matters right here. Because both are superfluous in nature, because understanding itself is convoluted, concocted. And with this concoction of ideas, make things very eclectic to understand, may seem very interesting to listen to, but it is of no significance, because the very pleasure and the pain are the narratives, just mere narratives, nothing else. So once you understand this deeper concept, you would see that what is pleasure is pain, what is pain is pleasure. Unless there is some tragic moment, like if, basically speaking, like if someone comes to you and if he has a knife and if there is a slit, of course that's painful. That's a very physical part of it. We're not talking about that. But as far as your emotions are concerned, as far as your feelings are concerned, if that is what makes your life hell and heaven, that's absolutely nonsense. Then each moment of your life is, any transit of your life, doesn't matter where you are at this point in time, every moment will be hell and heaven. So these fleeting emotions are of no significance, because we are none of these feelings. In fact, all the elevated masters or anyone who is super achiever in life avoids all the pleasing things, because they know that they're of no use. They have seen through it. They have seen through it all. And these things do not dazzle them. Whereas the people of a different category do fall prey to it and make their life little, make their life small. They reduce themselves to mediocrity. So once you cross to the other side, and this bridge is the perfect bridge for that, all there is only bliss. No matter how things are, but you are into a higher zone of consciousness, you are into a higher zone of understanding, where the whole concept of heaven and hell does not affect you, because you know that you are beyond of all these. Because any situation linked with materialism or the people cannot suffice the wholesome experience which this one can feel itself being by itself as it is. If this is realized, then each moment is a bliss. As long as the situations and surroundings and the people are part of making us feel good, heaven and hell, we are far away from hell and heaven. This is not the reality. This human body, as it goes through all the experiences and take itself to a certain degree of understanding or a certain degree of evolution, passing through all eclectic experiences from all diverse background and fields, it reaches to a point when it actually is most happiest being in recluse, because that is real state of being, when this one can itself be the most blissful without having anyone in between.